You know, at some level, it's a book about self-realization and coming to be your own true person. And so many of us live in this sense of fear about who we are and about how other people will perceive and accept us. Letting that fear go is as freeing an experience, I think, as a person can have. And it's my hope that sharing that experience will enable other people to think, yeah, I can do that too. We have to be who we are. First of all, we can be who we are, but more importantly, we must be. Because, trying to live a life over a period of decades as someone who I could no longer be almost killed me, would have killed me if I had not changed. You know, I was the Republican, conservative, Christian, queer-bashing, person from hell. In a household of 8 people, it's hard to sneak off and for a boy to sneak off and put on a dress. So there, I would do things like stand in my mother's closet and drape her dresses over me. Too afraid to actually, put them on. That way, if I got caught, I was just playing around in the closet. It was no big deal. Later on, I would cross-dress in my sister's clothing, but that would be when nobody was home and in a place where I could, I was always very careful, even into my marriages. What I was beginning to see, was unavoidable, that I was transgender. You pray to God and you say, God, take this away. Take this sin away from me. I believe that God answers all prayers. Sometimes the answer is no. And that's a hard thing for us, to learn. So after 48 years of uncertainty and fear and ambiguity and doubt and guilt and shame about something as fundamental as my self-identity, I finally concluded that the answer to that prayer, that God remove this sin from me, was no. That this is who God made me to be. Between the physical changes and, for me, it was sort of an emergence from within of this woman. So when those two came together, post-surgery, I had the sense of one whole human being, where throughout all of my life up until that point, I had the sense of duality. Growing up and living as an adult, that I could feel so comfortable in my body, so happy, and at peace with who I am. I never had that sense. I always felt that there was something wrong with me, and I didn't have any sense that that would ever change or go away. So the fact that it has is all the confirmation I need. I know there was never a choice. I know that in my own heart and mind that I would not have survived as a man any longer. I couldn't live that way. And so I don't need any science. It'd be great for the world, and I think it would be, good to have that understanding that this is biology. It's not a chosen lifestyle, as so many people would have it be. We can and must be authentic. And that if we find ourselves living in a way which is not authentic, that we really owe it to ourselves to come to understand that lack of authenticity in who we are and who we present to the world and how we act and the way we think, and do what we can to become whole, authentic persons. Well, I have no regrets about my physical transition. I regret very deeply losing my children, losing my brother. It shouldn't have cost me such a price merely to be myself. But the truth is, it does. A person who's certainly contemplating this kind of change, has to consider that, has to be ready for that, is that there's a lot of loss involved. When we hurt bad enough doing what we're doing and living the way we're living, we'll change. We'll make a change. And it's so worth it. And my goal, my objective in coming out in such a public way, writing a book about it, and distributing that book, is that people, again, will be able to look at me and at others and from a human standpoint and say, how can we bring understanding? And how can we stop seeing people who are different as an abomination, someone who should be put to death, and how can we start to bridge those gaps? I want to share the story for what it may bring to people of their own story.